Welcome back to the Weekend Warrior Show Recap Podcast. I'm Tyler from the Unemployed Architects. This week I'm going to be talking about my shows this last weekend at the Nightshop on Thursday night in Bloomington, the Trading Post Saloon on Friday down in Springfield, and Marshall's Tap over in Bartonville. So we did kind of a fun, interesting thing Thursday night because it was a 4-band, technically 5-band bill. If you count Eric Paul and Miss Christine's bands as different bands, they play together, but they do 2 separate sets, and they have the same drummer. So it was 4 different groups, but 5 if you count them as 2, if that makes sense. And then we had Talent Show and Hot Sauce Universe were the other couple bands. So pretty much Talent Show decided, or they needed a place to stay after the show, and we offered up our place, and they came back. And then Eric Paul and Miss Christine's band, which they're a 3-piece, they decided to come hang out with us for a little bit. And it was late, it was like 2 a.m., and it was just like kind of a fun vibe we had going. So I thought I would try something different and throw a mic up and see if we could talk about the show before that we had played right before, and got an interesting kind of. I've never done anything like that before, so I wouldn't say I was the best host necessarily. I feel like I kind of steamrolled a little bit on the Miss Christine and Eric Paul, unfortunately, but I didn't know what I was doing, so I'm just kind of giving a slight disclaimer before. But I think overall it was a fun experience, and we this is our second time we opened for Miss Christine and Eric Paul, and every time they just blow me away. We do our set first, which is kind of unusual because we usually, play all night at our shows, and we just get to hang out after. So, and the last time they came through town, they blew me away. Then this time it was like they were on fire. I feel like they just sounded so good, and it was an awesome experience. And the after show kind of hangout was a lot of fun, and I'm glad I got a little bit of recording of it. I mean, I don't think it really did it justice necessarily, but it was definitely fun and just something different. So I'm gonna shut up and you'll hear me talk a lot actually, because like I said, I was just trying to keep the conversation going, but I don't know if I did an excellent job. So, anyway, so this is the after show at the Nightshop with Eric Paul and Miss Christine's bands and the Talent Show. So that's what is about to happen. This week we played at the Nightshop on Thursday, and we got all the bands here, everybody except Hot Sauce Universe, as an after show podcast. This is the first time I've ever done this with multiple people. So they're all here to talk to us. We're gonna start with the Talent Show here. They were the 3rd band that played, but the last one's there, Talent Shoe, but they were great, and we were pretty much just talking about the show. What do you guys think about it? What did you, Nightshop, Illinois, any general just thoughts?
It's also good.
It was spectacular.
It's a great spot. We love. We really like Bloomington so far, and we really enjoyed playing at the Nightshop. I'm really far from the mic, so I might talk louder.
That's okay.
Else. Don't assume I'm yelling or that I'm angry or anything.
No, I don't.
Expressing myself.
I probably sound the loudest. I'm really close. I'm talking quiet, but.
So you gotta whisper then.
Yeah, I need to talk more like this. NPR. Welcome. Anyway, so is this your first time in Bloomington?
Yeah.
And you're coming from
Lincoln,
Nebraska. Okay, where do you guys play at around there?
We play. I mean, there's a lot of different places to play in Lincoln. There's the bars like Duffy's, the 1867, and then there's smaller house shows and stuff.
DIY venues like the Void, Couch House. Which
the Void, I've heard of the Void.
Just a house with a bunch of couches.
Nice.
Lincoln's. I don't know. It's good. You get like the best of both worlds in there.
Sweet. And then you guys made it to Nightshop tonight in Bloomington, and tomorrow you're where at?
Wyandotte, Michigan.
Wyandotte, Michigan.
Right outside of Detroit.
Very cool. So how long of a drive is that?
6 hours. Yeah. A long time.
Guys are looking forward to that.
At first I was like 6 hours doesn't seem like that long, but we were driving for like, I guess we were driving for like 7 hours.
8.
From
well,
Omaha.
Yeah.
Well, don't
it's
say
about
that.
8, right?
It's 6 for right now. It's 6 for
It's
right now.
8
And tomorrow.
from there to here, right?
Yeah, I mean
No,
from
from
Omaha
Omaha.
to
Bloomington.
To Bloomington,
It's
it
about
was
8.
like 7 hours.
So-
I want to keep the mystique of like
Same,
denial.
this-
That it's not gonna take forever to
are
get
we?
there tomorrow.
This is just a cigarette,
The
right?
C-
are we
Oh, that is
a.
no, we weren't supposed to do that, but that's okay. You guys are fine. No worries. Anyway,
It's okay. I
I thought it was one of those
That's what I-
CBD cigarettes, but it's all good. No worries. So you guys
I was just past the cigarette.
you guys played most of the originals tonight.
Only
yeah.
originals,
yeah.
Only
We
originals.
kind of have like a superstition about
We,
covers.
we have
So-
some covers that we're getting ready to play on
I got you.
Halloween.
We're
Well, you-
playing a
it doesn't-
Halloween show where
we-
we're covering early 2000s butt rock. So we're playing
So explain-
Hoobastank.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're playing Creed.
Oh,
Yes.
I know we're playing Nickelback, motherfucker.
Yes.
Very cool.
What? Nick-
Avril
I
Lavigne,
and-
Hinder.
Honey, why you calling
Oh
me?
man,
So late.
We should have played that.
that sounds pretty fun,
We
honestly.
have to. I
Why you calling?
mean, anyway.
So then, we also have the other band here, Eric, Paul, and
Here,
Miss
Nolan, you want me
Christine.
to-
They're two separate groups that play together. Nathan is their drummer here. You guys want to say hello to everybody?
Hello.
How's it going?
You're too loud. You
Oh,
need to
sorry. I
cut
just want to
that.
make sure I was loud enough, man.
You face that way when you talk.
Bro, chill.
So, what'd you guys think of the show tonight?
It was really awesome. It's our second
It started
time
really
back.
slow. I was like kind of worried when we started because we played first. The Unemployed Architects, we played first. It was me, Dave, and Lo tonight. I did the foot percussion setup, and we were happy to play first because a little bit less stressful getting everything set up. But there wasn't a lot of people there. That is for sure. But by the time you guys played, it was definitely looking a little better, looking a little fuller, and then
Yeah,
it
it felt
steadily got fuller. I thought both you guys were great. I mean, you guys were all sounded fantastic.
Good time,
Shouts out
man.
to the sound guy. I think his name was Greg or something
Eric.
like that.
His name's Eric, just like me.
not even close. Not even close.
We have the same name, and I
That's
loved
right.
it.
Yeah.
Eric, he did an amazing job.
Yeah.
No,
He was
fucking-
great.
He's one of the
he's
best
been
sound
a-
guys I've ever encountered.
He's been around the area for a long time, and he was doing, right when we got there, he was doing a show at the BCPA, which is the Bloomington Center of Performing Arts, setting them up, and then he got to our show, set us up, and then he's just always, and he works at the Castle as well, the Castle
Oh,
Theaters,
what a
like,
guy.
yeah. But he's good, very good at what he does.
What a guy.
He should be doing sound for, the biggest bands in the world.
Guns N' Roses.
Bands like Aerosmith and the
Explosions.
Killers.
Or Hoobastank, maybe.
Hey, guys, come on, Hoobastank,
He
come on.
probably does do sound for Hoobastank, because I bet they're about Castle level type show.
Yeah, he's like normally I do sound for
reason is you.
Hoobastank, but they're not playing any shows tonight, so I guess I'll do it for a talent show.
Yeah. All right. So, where you guys come from last night? You guys came from your home, Iowa?
Home.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Alright.
back home.
Back home? Is that your
Yeah.
Iowa accent?
Over there. No.
No.
Iowa would be like big.
All right.
You want to say bag?
Little
It's
North
big.
Dakotan in there.
that wasn't bad.
Or gorsh.
Gorsh?
No,
That's a
yeah.
Oh my
word.
gosh.
War
Nathan, this is Nathan, the drummer over here. He third show with him with Eric, Paul, and Miss Christine.
Fourth one.
Fourth one. This was the fourth
Yeah.
show. I thought he
Wow.
did it pretty awesome. That being said, I mean, he kind of killed it tonight.
He's also currently blasting Nolan's pressure points.
Yeah, we got a weird
Slim
massage
relax.
train going
I'm
on,
getting the
but
face massage.
they're-
It's a lymphatic.
they're enjoying themselves. That's all that matters.
I have never been so quiet. Mic or no?
I've noticed that. I mean,
Well, this is nice. We can all get our thoughts in there.
Yeah.
This is good.
giving us room here. But and you guys are off to where tomorrow?
Anderson, Indiana.
Anderson,
for a house
Indiana. For a house
Anderson.
show.
Indiana.
And then you're somewhere after that, right?
Show. Fort Wayne.
Fort Wayne.
Fort Wayne, and that's
Oi.
everybody.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Cool.
We
And
were,
good.
we
You-
were very sad to not play a show in Iowa. We really wanted to stop over.
Yeah.
what are you guys just?
Fucking this up.
Before we even knew you. We should have hit you up.
Do you guys have a show Saturday night then, or?
Yes.
Saturday night's in Rochester.
Rochester, and then where?
There's lots of
I
Rochesters
think
though.
Connecticut after that.
Rochester, New York.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Okay.
Connecticut.
So you guys are going
Rochester.
all the way.
Rochester,
Yeah.
New York on Saturday?
Yes.
That's very cool.
How long of a drive is that?
About 8 hours.
Yeah.
From
But
window,
from-
from window, it's like
we
6
might have to
hours.
haul ass.
Wyandotte.
And it'd be
Window.
it'd be
How the-
14
how the-
hours.
Wyandotte.
14 hours.
Yeah.
Because it's like,
Okay.
I've been looking at the New York route, and it's about the same distance from here to Colorado as it is
Okay.
from here to New York.
Why
Gosh.
That is a lot
Oh
of
gosh.
We are on the mic. We are
Guys,
on the
keep the
mic.
crosstalk
To a minimum.
please.
I don't even know what's going on anymore.
Let's get a second mic over here.
Yeah, we only got the
I'm
one.
feeling very overwhelmed right now.
I don't
Look,
know
you're
how.
on Crossfire on CNN. We're talking politics.
Alright, we're staying
Yeah,
away
we're
from
not- we're not
politics.
talking
That's the
politics.
worst thing to talk about. We do music. That's supposed to take people's mind off all
curb
that
you guys.
stuff.
Just keep it outside of the pub.
What really?
Hey, what is this
really?
book? An Infinite Jest on the table? You want to talk
Joel,
more
keep
about
getting
that?
massaged over
What is an
there, right?
infinite jest? Is it the ongoing joke?
I don't know.
What
Let's-
what does the book Infinite Jest mean to
And why
everybody
was
in
it
this room?
The
brought up
ongoing
real quick.
Well,
joke?
I just want to say that
I don't know.
that copy of
This
Infinite
is
Jest
easy,
is
like-
my copy that
Dude,
I've
since
asked
you
for
have-
back from Nolan multiple times.
Yeah, but who's read more Foster Wallace?
Hold on. From the side, can't tell if it's faded or that's just the color.
But it looks like.
But it looks like it says
Infinite
Infinite
Jest.
Jest.
Maybe. Oh, hold on.
Now that's-
Oh shit. Oh, it's maybe just.
Oh, Infinite Jest.
Now that's
Oh,
a,
Infinite Jest.
that's a real postmodern look at the novel. I would say. Infinite Jest.
Well, I can honestly say that book's never been up in this apartment before. It's the first.
It's
the
a very
Very large.
interesting looking book.
It's-
It tells someone when you
Look,
look
now it's a big book and it's used by many people to show. It's actually my book.
It's
It's
an
yours.
antidote
It's my
to
book.
loneliness,
No, that's not true. Chris
motherfucker.
stole it from
No.
me.
It's perfect for tours.
I've read that shit 3 times already.
The ongoing joke.
No, it's not an ongoing joke. It's my book. He stole it
Yeah,
from me.
Dio, you're.
But are you saying that that's what the title means? Like,
To me, that's just synonymous
That's what
with
it means. Ongoing
Infinite
joke. I get what you're saying.
infinite, continuing,
Right.
jest,
I get what you're
joke,
saying.
fun.
We're doing a lot of crosstalk here.
That's-
Sorry, we
that's
got really
okay.
into the
Yeah,
internet.
sorry.
Internet just.
This giant book.
I
that-
realize. Ain't you just maybe?
What's your name again?
Hey,
Over
me?
here?
Nolan Ryan.
Nolan.
Nolan
I'm
brought
from
a giant
the bush.
book up here called
I came
Infinite
right
Jest.
out. They found me in a.
I think you need to massage him maybe a little harder.
Bivouac.
The jaw. We're talking about the jaw.
Crush his throat.
So, what'd you guys think of Hot Sauce Universe? They were pretty
Dude, they were
solid.
dope.
Fucking good.
They were dope, man. Nasty.
That dude
Was
was
that a homemade djembe?
fucking.
I can get
shredded.
down
No,
with
no,
that.
I think
can get down
they
with
do
that
sell
all
them as a
day.
lap djembe, but
Okay.
you don't see them very often.
No,
that's for
yeah,
sure. But
yeah.
I liked.
she
I
rocked
liked
thought it was, like,
I thought
custom made.
I'm big on like you
always
know
good.
just sort of
Like-
extra like stage decorations like
Oh, they
have
brought
with,
the lamp? Yeah,
the
yeah.
lamp with
Lamp,
the
yes.
shade over
Yeah.
it. Recently,
Love
Chris
the
and I
lamp.
saw a band in
I love
Lincoln
lamp.
that like just had like a fern on stage with them.
Yeah.
No, it was like an aloe
cool.
vera. I was like,
Wait,
that's
who?
really
It's
nice.
It's very calming.
between
Yeah.
two
Yeah,
ferns.
between an aloe vera.
Is that
Oh, wait, who was
between
that?
two ferns joke? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah,
Yeah, between
I was
aloe
like,
vera.
at first it was.
Between an
I
aloe
just
Damn it,
watched
you guys
that
seen
movie.
that?
I realized
I
I
haven't
was
seen it
thinking
yet.
of between
I haven't
two
seen it
ferns
yet.
on the show, but like
Like
there was
good?
like an aloe
It's
vera.
so bad.
No, it's bad, but if you watch it to the end and then you watch like the outtakes, it's
The
almost
outtakes were the best.
it's almost worth the whole movie, but it's not really.
I just was like halfway through. I was like,
What was
I
he
haven't
thinking?
laughed.
Why did they do it? Why are they
Why
wasting my
not?
time? Why am I going to waste my
Why
time
not?
watching something like that?
Why does he do that show to begin with? Just
It's a
because
show
he
is
can.
kinda
funny.
The show is funny, yeah.
But
Zach
The movie is just the
Galifianakis
show
my
again.
fave.
It's like
What's
nothing
that?
new.
Zach Galifianakis is my fave.
Yeah, he's
And
good.
Zack Attack! Zack Attack!
He's
The
fucking
movie, but
hilarious.
the outtakes were the best. With
Yeah.
Paul Rudd and
it was hard. It was hard to get through the movie,
Yeah,
but
so
once you did, and he's because sometimes he rides that line so
Oh,
hard
dude,
where it's
go
like you can't
hard.
tell. Like you
Yeah.
pretty sure they're all in on it, but you're not really sure. Like it's almost like so uncomfortable. But then you see those outtakes at the end, and you see how hard it is for him to keep it straight through, and it makes it kind of.
Dude, that's going to be so
I
difficult.
think.
Like,
my
to be able to
favorite,
hold that.
Yeah, to just act like
Dude, just to like
you're
let it
so
roll.
annoyed to be there, and like
Like,
I took that one.
Didn't he have like Obama on
No.
that show?
yeah,
Yeah.
Between two ferns.
I wish we could see the outtakes.
took
You
of
Bama.
all the ones on YouTube.
Oh yeah,
Because that, I bet, is gold.
right.
man, if we had a big. Oh, hey.
All right. Is there anything else you guys want to say about the show or upcoming stuff you got? Where to check out your music, anything like
This
that?
town is great.
They like Bloomington. That's
This,
good.
this town is great. I really.
We played
thoroughly
with
enjoy
Eric
this
Paul
city.
and Miss Christine. This is our second show with them, and they killed it both times. It was very, very awesome.
Oh, you guys are phenomenal, man. I don't want to
too
hear it.
kind. You're too kind. We do what we
This
can
place
with what
is
we
so
got.
unassumingly charming, but then you actually like go to where I don't know, music is, or drinks are, or food is, and it's like, oh shit, they're like rad ass people here. It's not just that lit up belfry at the end of the thoroughfare.
It's really just us 9. Everybody else sucks
it
here.
It looks quaint.
I mean, I was gonna say like the 9 of us are fine.
If you want to postmodern look at it,
you guys are punk as fuck, and I love it here.
So,
I did not expect this.
Anybody got a time? I don't even know what time it is. It is 2:25 a.m. I didn't mention that. This is after the show.
Oh, this is definitely post show.
Post show.
Definitely post show.
If you're really annoyed by the crosstalk, that's
blew my
why.
freaking board.
Talent Shoe.
Dude,
Miss Christy and Eric Poe.
Eric Poe, so you can get Poe no
I'm
more.
just saying, like, it worked out. It worked out.
My name Ed Poe. You gonna play some song?
All right, where can we check out Talent Show music?
Talent Show.
Spotify.
Spotify's a good one.
Spotify. Look up Talent Show. Look up
Apple Music.
talentshow.bandcamp.com.
Talent Show -Bandcamp.
Go to talentshow.com and create your own profile today.
Sell your own music.
Sorry, we're actually still setting that
A
up.
nuke avatar, but that'll be by the time this podcast comes out. It will be. Anyway,
All right.
But yeah,
Eric,
look up Talent Show, but with a small caveat, you might have to take some digging to get to us. Some like German butt rock band has really recently released an album called Talent Show, and that has started showing up on our Spotify page. We don't know how to get rid of it, so don't listen to that.
Yeah, what the fuck? I was just taking a
German butt rock. Got it. That's what your band is. All right.
German butt rock.
Deep down, that was their first album. All right.
What the fuck is this?
I've never even heard of the
Some
term butt
old-ass
rock
band.
before, but
I've heard of it
glad,
with Cubastank before. Yeah.
I'm glad to be in the know now.
Yeah.
Like
There's-
I'm
Nickelback.
sorry, we didn't mean to
Unpack.
Derail
we
the whole.
didn't mean to derail the
It's
plugs.
terrible
Right.
music.
Butt
All right.
rock. It's
Miss
rock for the
Christine,
butt.
Eric Paul, where do we
Yes.
hear your music at?
If you look up Miss Christine, MISS with a CH, on all of the online things. But you can go to MissChristineMusic.com. That's where you find my
That's a
music.
good way to do it. All right.
Just Google Eric Paul Sound, all one word.
Eric Paul Sound.
All my shizit pops up.
Are you on any of the streaming
I am on
platforms?
Spotify. I am on iTunes. I'm on Amazon Music. Just talk to Alexa. She knows what's going on.
That's.
Yes.
I just ask Alexa, but you have to say it as one word, or else.
Hey
it doesn't-
Alexa, Eric Paul Killer. That's what you gotta look up. Eric Paul Killer. That's all.
That might come out. I bet there's
Eric
an
Paul,
actual
Natural
killer.
Born Killers on Amazon. I'll watch the movie.
There'll be
Yeah, there-
there's gonna be an interpretive like 40 seconds short.
Can
you
I just
know,
watch
that I'm
Natural
in.
Born
All right.
Killers?
We walking around half naked with a knife. It's all good.
All right, so that is the first installment of this weekend of shows.
This is dope.
I was super happy to have all these guys come hang out after, come do this podcast. The podcast was definitely not planned at all. We just we're all hanging out in one room, so we decided to throw a mic up, and it's been cool.
Their
So
home is beautiful. It feels like a waterlogged wood cabin. It's gorgeous. They've got lights strung up all over. Just
Yeah.
a little peek. I don't mean to give a behind the scenes. You can
I'm probably gonna take a picture of everybody right now
Oh my God,
and
would
put
you?
it on this. Like that's
Oh,
what
we
you're gonna be
gots
looking
to.
at
We gots to.
when you
Yeah.
listen to this podcast.
We got
Gotta get
to.
the aesthetic.
Eric
Yeah.
Poe says we got
Oh my
to.
God.
Just so you can
This
get the
is a
vibe
light.
of what is happening right now,
should
because it is
display the whole
intense.
thing.
Depression, like-
So anyway,
I'm
that
gonna
is
be about 1 month.
the Weekend Warrior Show recap podcast, night number 1, Thursday. I'm in a band called the Unemployed Architects. We played at the Nightshop.
Chris.
That's Eric Paul, rock and roll. All right.
I don't know if his favorite
We'll talk to you soon.
color is. That's fine.
So yeah, that was the after show hangout, kind of 2 a.m. in the morning. Everybody all disoriented and discombobulated, very unorganized, but that's what it really was like, you know. I just hanging out with those guys, everybody kind of yelling over each other and getting to know each other, and it was overall just an awesome night. It was a lot of great live music. I got to give shout out to Hot Sauce Universe, even though they weren't there. You know, they really killed it that night. That was the best I think I've ever seen them play. They always are great, but that was like another level of good. And then again, I just got to say, watching Miss Christine and Eric Paul play. I mean, Miss Christine's songs are so fun and just kind of cool bass lines, and you know, very, very, very good. And watching Eric Paul, you know, shred a guitar was pretty intense as well. So it was definitely a very cool show, and I'm glad we have a little memento to kind of remember it. even though, like I said, a little unorganized and a little unplanned, but it was something. So my thoughts on the show that we played, I didn't really talk too much about that, but we volunteered to play first because I could, like I said in the earlier part of the podcast, it was a lot less stressful to just kind of come and casually set up. We probably played for like 45 to an hour, and it was fun. There was probably 10 people there maybe when we were playing. It got a lot busier later, as I mentioned as well. And Eric, the sound guy, like the other band was saying, did a great job. I used my in-ears, so that was, it's a different experience every time. I didn't really like the sound in my in-ears. It sounded real like MIDI, but, out front I think it sounded fine. And that's something I'm still kind of figuring out as we go here. But, yeah, so I think we played, in the top 80% of what we usually do. It was me, Lo, and Dave. I did the foot drums, and then we got to hang out and watch, a bunch of killer bands. So it was a lot of fun. So then Friday at the Trading Post Saloon, I don't know if I have the same kind of attitude towards this show. Had a lot of issues. We started with us just being a little late to the show and trying it because I had to work again, and then I'd come home, grab a few things, and then off to the races. And it was a late night with the bands and stuff, so I was pretty worn out. And then we got to the show. I decided to just use the JBL and my in-ears to kind of. I did the foot drums as well, but I didn't really mic anything or do anything too crazy. I did mic them. I just used the Roland amp that I have, and I was trying to keep it simple. And we were there late, and of course I could not get it to sound good. Mainly my vocals. I got everything set up. I was feeling good, and then I ran into the issues, this one issue where my voice sounded kind of like a radio, like an old tin can microphone, kind of very MIDI. I couldn't really, just die. The JBL only has like a high and bass, like it has, high and low. It doesn't have any mids or anything, so I couldn't really scoop anything out, So throughout the show, I was changing the settings on my pedal to try to compensate, but it just was not sounding good, and there's like nothing I could do. I mean, I probably, was sounding okay out front, but I just because it sounded so funny, it's really hard to enjoy yourself. I mean, you could probably hear the vocals, they were kind of quiet, and, I'm frantically, sweating it, of course, because that's what I do. I sweat things like that, and, part of that's good because eventually, I fixed the problem, but I let it kind of bog the first half of the performance down a little bit, and then of course I wasn't in the best mood because it was like, what is going on? Is it my cables? Is it my pedal? Because I mentioned in a previous podcast I had some pedal issues, and it was just, and working a lot and staying out too late and all that stuff kind of combined. And Laura Lynn wasn't really feeling great either, so she was having a rough night already, and then I don't know, it just compiled, and then like on our break, I was we weren't getting any sort of reaction from the crowd at all, and at that point, I was doing mostly covers because, I was feeling like it wasn't sounding good, so I figured the least I could do if it's not sounding good is give people, songs they like. So then in the break, I changed out a bunch of cables, changed my settings again, tried to remix the vocals, didn't really take a break, just, spent the whole time trying to do that, and, unsuccessful ultimately, and, kind of the same story, probably sounded a little better, but not great on that next set, and then we took another break, and I changed out the microphone, because I had this flash, like while I was, changing out some different cables and stuff like that, of the night before at the night shop, my microphone rolling off a table onto the ground, and it's an expensive mic, and I was pretty, like, it flashed in my head. I was like, oh, that's what's going on, and that was like the last thing I would have guessed. And it was the last thing I guessed, but, so I was like, oh, it's the microphone. So I changed out the microphone, but of course my settings were all over the place because I just had been trying to fix an issue that, could have, if I would have changed out the microphone to begin with, would have easily been solved. But trying to fix it with different cables, trying to fix it with, and my in-ears weren't working with it was a cable issue as well. So I ended up and threw a floor monitor down that I had in the car, and it was just, I don't know, it was a lot of things right in a row. But I ended up changing out the mic, got it to sound tolerable, and then I was like, I don't know. It was the last 45 minutes that we were there, and we hadn't really gotten any negative feedback or good feedback at this point. Some people were halfway paying attention, and that's kind of the way it always is down at the bar, but and at the Trading Post. But we ended up, and I was like, I pretty much decided to take my anger out on playing. Like I was mad a little bit, and like I was what I would call hate playing a little bit. Like I was trying to get that that anger out, I guess, and that just kind of had I kept having this phrase run through my head from it was a Avett Brothers documentary that they said, rock and roll's not perfect. And I just kept having that line run through my head. So I wasn't singing great because of the mix of the microphone, and the monitors weren't really mixed very good. And I was just like, kept thinking that over and over. And I was probably making a lot of mistakes, but I was just like, screw it. I'm just going to go hard or go home, And we really just at that, and Laura Lynn was kind of in the same boat. And it was just me and her that night. I don't know if I mentioned that, but we ended up and we won the crowd over. Like we got them by the end, and I was very unexpected to end the way it did, and we started to have fun, and then we got a ton of great feedback from everybody. Of course, people being drunk enough to be into it probably helped, but we were catching people's attention, and it was a very high energy performance because, like I said, we're kind of hate playing a little bit, and it was just kind of surprising, and we ended up and kind of had fun with the last 45 minutes, and we played a little bit longer than we were scheduled to. We were having a good time for sure. And so that was the kind of the way the show ended. But then at the after show, we had a weird thing happen where there's this guy. I kind of saw this coming like a mile away. This guy was like really drunk, kind of old guy, and he kept like making faces and blowing kisses at Laura Lynn, which is just awkward for her and me and everybody there. But the guy was, drunkenly unaware of what he was doing, and he did, like at the beginning, kind of pull Laura Lynn down to dance with him, and at that point we thought he was harmless. He was kind of just into the music, and she did go out and kind of dance with him. And as the night wore on, we realized that he may have thought a lot more about that dance than we had. We were just trying to get people up and moving and have a good time. And I don't know, it got a little weird by the end of the set. And then like he was asking me where she was and stuff. So I was like, and she had went like to the bathroom or something. So or out to the car. I don't even remember. So I was like looking for her because I knew this guy was gonna be like a creep to her, just because he was, I could just tell by the way he was talking, very intoxicated and saying weird stuff. So I was looking for her. By the time I finally found her, and right when I found her, the guy just like grabs her from behind and like puts his arms around her, and of course like it was about half second before I pushed him off her and said, back off, you gotta stay away. And but that really, was upsetting for Laura Lynn, and it was just uncomfortable. And she obviously wasn't very excited about that, or the rest of the show is rough. ended strong, and then that happened. So it definitely put a damper on the evening for her. And, I was just kind of, in my head, it was like barely, it wasn't even 1 second that he had done that. But, for her, it was a lot more traumatic than I had anticipated, I guess. And, I don't know. It was just weird. You never know what to do in that situation. I felt like I was on top of it, like I knew it was going to happen, and right when he went for it, I like pushed him off. But it's just a weird situation. And then that guy ended up after Laura Lynn went up and said something to the bar, and they kicked him out, and the bar felt really bad about it. And but I mean, you can't control everybody in there, and the bartenders are obviously working, doing their job, so they can't be watching everybody. And they didn't know who this guy was. It wasn't like he was a regular or anything like that, but everybody was kind of upset about it. And Laura Lynn wasn't the only one that he was kind of doing that to throughout the night. It was just a completely uncomfortable situation for sure. And you always hate when stuff like that happens, when you hear about it, and then you're living it eventually. But again, it was almost nothing, just because it was such a short amount of time that he was going to grab her pretty much. But that ruined her whole night just because of that, pretty much. And it's too bad, really. And I mean, we don't blame the bar or anything like that. Anywhere there's alcohol served, it's a possibility. We just a lot of times we don't see that kind of thing happen. But the show itself was a lot of fun by the end of it. And the only reason it wasn't at the beginning was because of my shortcomings and trying to, get everything sounding good and not being able to be in the moment as much. But we finally got there by the end. And I mean, people were singing along, humming along kind of all night. It wasn't like all bad or anything like that. It's just, I was so in my head about the way my vocals were sounding in my in-ears and out front, and I couldn't make them loud enough. And then, I've come to find that the expensive microphone that I had was broken, which is unfortunate. But I mean, that thing has seen years of live playing, so it's I got my money out of it. It's not that, it's just I like that mic a lot. But so that was the Friday night show, some good, some bad. And then Saturday we played over in Bartonville. I had to work again, and I was hoping to pick up a microphone at my work, but we didn't have any of the ones that I was hoping we had, and I ended up and ran to the other music shop in town because I needed something for that night that would be better. I picked up a Shure Beta 57, which I'd had in the past. A long time ago. Actually, Blair, I think it was his mic, but I ended up using it to sing a lot. And I always liked that mic, but I wasn't my first choice, but I needed something, and I was like, well, we'll just kind of roll the dice. Maybe it'll sound good. Maybe it'll be. And I had spent like maybe an hour cleaning and spraying out and resetting my pedal board earlier that day, like trying to get it all kind of working and functional. And I'm really glad I took the time to do that finally. I hadn't cleaned any of my pedals for a long time, so it looked like all my pedals looked, not new, but close to less used, that is for sure. And the settings were a little bit closer to where they needed to be, and we played at Marshall's Tap, which we've played there twice before, and the first time it was a lot of fun. The second time it was pretty fun, and then this time it was like a blast. So it was a good crowd, and I don't know. I mean, I felt uncomfortable for the first part because it's crazy how much of a difference like just a different mic makes you sing differently. Like I felt like the pickup was like the way it picks up the vocals was different, so it's like a different mentality, and it took me a long time to get used to, but once I got used to it, I think I really liked it. Like I think it was maybe better than the one I was using. I mean, around the same price, so I mean, it was definitely expensive. And I had the in-ears going, and I felt like it sounded really good. It doesn't really have a lot of room. Like I had to be pretty much up on it the whole time, but I felt like it cut out the low end, cleaned up the low end quite a bit, which was nice. I mean, I felt like it made my vocals kind of more clear than usual. And this time I used the JBL, and I used a kind of front fill and a mixer, and did the aux out into my in-ears, and I feel like that always has a better, because I can hear the kick drum a little bit, I can hear Lowe's vocals a little bit, I can hear my vocals really well, and my acoustic really well, and I can kind of mess with the levels on it to get it exactly how I want it. The negative to that is, like, I don't really know how it sounds out front all the time, but I definitely got to a point where I wasn't thinking about it, and that is half the battle. I feel like once you get to that point, you can really just perform your songs, and not think about. After that Friday night, which was a complete struggle singing, and I kind of wrecked my voice because I ended up just yelling a lot to hear myself. It was nice to just let go and sound good and not have to try to sound good. And I mean, Thursday night it was fun and sounded pretty good, but it was a different sound setup, and I was I like those bands, so I want them to think we're good, so I get in my head about that a little bit too much, and it was a different sound setup, and my in-ear feed was a little weird, so it was like I'm overthinking a little bit too much. I didn't get to the point of like letting go as much as I wanted to, and I got a little bit of that Friday night too. Like I got to a little bit of the letting go at the end, but again I was just shouting, and like it wasn't sounding great, but it was, it was something. It was kind of getting some of the aggression I had for the night kind of out, and that felt really nice, but wrecked my voice. But then Saturday finally caught the groove, even though it was new gear, new microphone, new settings on my pedals, and I got to a point where I wasn't, like I said, I wasn't overthinking, and I was like just performing in the moment and like having fun, and there was a good crowd there. We had a couple of our fans come out, Susan and Troy. They came from, they see us in Bloomington all the time, but they go to Peoria area shows sometimes too, and they made it out, and it's always just a blast to have those guys, because they're on our team, if that makes sense. We have somebody rooting for us, and that's always just nice to have, right from the get-go. I mean, they probably missed about a half hour, but then, once they were there, it really just puts us at ease a little bit, because, like I said, it's like you have somebody rooting for you and going to be paying attention and like into it and know your songs and want to hear certain songs, and it's just nice to have some actual like fans out, but and friends. So on our breaks and stuff, we get to hang out with people we like, and that was nice. And then there were another couple that came later that came to our first show there, and they were just like dancing and having an awesome time and brought the energy up, and I don't know. That was probably my favorite show of my favorite performance of the week, we'll say. The show on Thursday was just a blast all around. I don't think I performed my best, but it was just a good all around night. It was just fun, and everybody had a good time, and good music, good people, and like I said, Friday was a little on the rough side, and then Saturday, we finally caught our stride, I feel like. We were all, Lo and I at least, were very sleep deprived. Like I said, I worked 6 hours. One of those was an 11-hour day. And then after that, my brother and his wife had the baby. So I had a baby, and we went over, and after I worked a long shift, hung out. It was kind of nice, because the last podcast I did, I had recorded the first day of my life, like in memory of my grandpa who had, passed away recently, and put that on the podcast. But then, the baby was born, and that was their first dance at their wedding, and it was the first day of Otis's life. So it was kind of cool to be able to send them a cut of that. so they could, listen to it on the first day of the new one's life. So, since the song is "The First Day of My Life" by Bright Eyes, that was cool to have, and it's always exciting, having a new nephew. Very cool, excited about that. But we've just been kind of run down a little bit, but this week we're hoping to catch up a little bit. Only 2 shows. It's the 2-nighter in Davenport. We haven't done that in a while. It's going to be Halloween weekend, so I think it's going to be very, very busy. And there's a costume contest that the winner Thursday could win like $100, Friday $300, and then Saturday is $500 for first place, $300 for second place. So it's going to be pretty intense. I think a lot of people are going to go pretty hard because Saturday they're giving out more money than we are even making for the 2 nights of playing. So that's incentive for sure to get a good costume going. I don't know what we're like so broke right now. We had kind of an unexpected bill come up. I won't say it was really my bill, but anyway, so we both just don't have a ton of money, and so I'm probably gonna end up and go out and busk after I work today, or pretty soon here, because I'm off right now. I got off at around 2, and so now I'm in between trying to finish this podcast, and then I'm gonna go out and play on the street pretty much, and see if I can get some gas money. I kind of forget that I can do that in the nice parts of the year because I'm playing every Friday and Saturday most of the time, and usually I'm not like in dire need, but I need some gas money to get to Davenport for the weekend shows. So, and it's good practice to get out there on the street and just play for people, and so I've made over $100, doing it for a few hours on just a random day. And I've made a lot less as well when I've done it, but it is a way to, a surprising way that you can just go out and set up a little display with a tip jar and, just play, it's a good practice, gets you, some, because I'm practicing anyway, like I would normally practice, so just go out and practice and maybe a little bit longer, but out in front of people, and get some tips in my jar, and that'll get me through the week. So I'll probably go out today and tomorrow. I think it's homecoming weekend here, so it should be pretty busy. A little chilly, but I might be able to make something happen, even if I only make $10, it's better than none. So anyway, going to be talking about the 2-nighter in Davenport with the crazy costume contest. I'm sure there'll be plenty to talk about this next week, and I know this was a little bit on the longer side and something a little bit different. So if you made it this far, you're awesome, and I appreciate you, and I will talk to you next week. Have a good one.